Just real quick, and Pondelli asked me to introduce our district attorney, and it's really, I wasn't expected to do that, but it is a huge honor and pleasure to be able to introduce Bucks County's district attorney, Matt Weintraub. For those of you that don't know him, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen him on television, not only is a law and order guy and a great district attorney, but I've known Matt as he's been DA for the last 3 years, but he's also been in Bucks County for the last 16 and total, I think, about 25 years or so as an attorney in law enforcement. But Matt represents the 800 law enforcement officers in this great county. But not only being a tough law and order type of district attorney, which about 30 seconds from here we don't have in the city of Philadelphia, which borders us, but he also understands victims, and he also understands, business owners and people, and families of victims. And he is able to bring it all together. He understands prevention, and he understands thinking outside the box, and he understands education, and he understands it takes all those things to make people safe, not just getting people convicted, which his staff does an incredible job, the men and women that work for him, and that he leads, but not just getting convictions, not just putting people in jail, but looking at the whole picture. The education, the victims, bringing everything together, looking outside the box. Our great DNA initiative here in Bucks County was given the stamp of approval by this man right here. Things don't happen without his blessing. Things don't happen in Bensalem. Things don't happen in Buckingham without his blessing, without his thumbs up, without him touching it somewhere and saying, I'm behind you, let's do it, let's make it happen. So without further ado, our great district attorney, and I'm very proud to live here and work for this guy, Matt Weintraub.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Pondelli, for inviting me here. This is a great group, very vital. I really appreciate a group that gets together that's not only business-oriented, but very civic-minded. I think that's important because, as you said, Pondelli, I think we take for granted a lot of times our first responders. While we're busy living our lives, they're risking theirs. We tend to just know that the police will come at the touch of 3 buttons, 911. But a lot of courage goes into that commitment every day that the police make for us. And I, for one, am always grateful, especially how could we ever forget, as we celebrated yesterday, I can't even believe it's been 18 years since those 3,000 people lost their lives, including our police, fire, EMS, first responders, where everybody else was racing out of the building to get as far away as they could. They were rushing in to try to save us. So today, I understand I have about a half an hour, so I want to try something here. I have a number of programs that I like to present, and this is going to be interesting. You all are my sample audience here, so you can hold your thumbs up or down depending on how I do with this talk. But I think what I'll do, depending on how much time we have left at the end, is I'll ask if you have any questions. And frankly, you know what? Let's just do it as we go along, because I know if you're like me, you forget your question if you have to hold it until the end. The only other thing that I would like to pitch, I guess I lost it. I brought a card. Can I borrow your card there?
There it is.
Thank you. I brought a card here. I'm sure people are going to leave here with questions or want to know how to get a hold of the Bucks County District Attorney's Office. If you just want to know what's going on in the county from a law enforcement perspective. And of course, we report crime on Crime Watch, and that's what this card will direct you to. It's an app, or you can use it on your computer, but you get it right on your phone. But we also like to report on the positive things that are going on, like when there is a car show, or when the Police Athletic League does something wonderful. And you can plug right into that. This is one-stop shopping here. Also, if you use our Crime Watch app, you can leave us tips, and they can be anonymous. You think something bad's going on in your neighborhood, you're not sure, then you just leave us a tip, and all of these are screened by our detectives. So I think it's very useful in that regard as well. There's about 60 of these cards in the back there, and please do me a favor and grab one. Even if we don't get a chance to talk face to face today, and you want to get in touch with me, I make it a point of personal pride. I try to return every phone call, every email. I work for you. We work for you. I have 100 employees in my office, including 40 attorneys, 23 detectives, and the rest support staff. We serve the public. That's you. And I really take that to heart. So I want to start off with a quote. And this is a very long one, so you'll have to forgive me. I don't, maybe I could memorize this, but I'm not sure. But this has to do with leadership. And I'm sure a lot of us have our favorite presidents. And one of my favorite presidents is Theodore Roosevelt. The guy was a born leader. He did many, many things that a lot of people don't know. He founded the National Park System, for example. But he was also a member of the Rough Riders, San Juan Hill. This guy he was the real deal. But this is one of the ones that resonates with me the most. And then I'm going to talk about some personal, professional examples, I hope, that demonstrate some of the leadership qualities that we all can exhibit in our everyday lives. This one's commonly known as the man in the arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions? Who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement? And who at the worst, if he fails, at least failed while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. I really hearken to this because I give everyone credit for trying. I have 2 girls. I have 2 kids. My oldest just went to college for the first time. Use all your blessings and prayers if you want to send them my way. And I tell them, say, look, you've got to give effort. You can be a plugger. You don't have to be the best. Only one person can be the best ever. But you've got to try. You've got to give effort every day and put yourself out there. Don't hide behind your screens. Don't hide behind your phones. Don't judge others. You put yourself out there and you can accomplish great things. Another great quote that I love of his, and I'm going to give you an example, is about decision making. In any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing, of course. The next best thing is the wrong thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing. And this is a philosophy that I live by. Sometimes people say I lead with my chin, sticking it out there and you get tacked on the chin. Be decisive, be brave, be bold even. Try something that maybe nobody else thought of, or that you may run the risk is going to fail, or people are going to make fun of you. You can always correct a mistake. It takes humility to admit you're wrong, but there's always room for that. Don't be reckless. Make sure that you're personally safe. And when I talk to law enforcement about this, the number 1 rule in law enforcement is get home safely to your families. And I'm going to give you an example of an instance in which I had to make decisions. Are you going to give me the hook, right? You're going to give me the hook when it's time to get down from here?
No, people start walking away.
No, but okay, when people start walking away. As soon as Fred's on his phone, I know it's time to go. So I as Fred told you, I've been the DA, the district attorney, top law enforcement official in Bucks County for 3 years. And I was an assistant for I've been in law enforcement, I'm 50, and I've been law enforcement for over half of my life. And when I took over for my mentor and former boss, Dave Heckler, a wonderful man, I was appointed by the judges. So they gave me a chance. They gave me a shot. Here's your shot, kid. And I really, I was full of piss and vinegar, I guess you could say. I felt ready. And that was in September of 2016. Gosh, oh my gosh, it's literally 3 years in a week or two. And in November of 2016, this is the call I get from my county detectives. Late last night, this guy he owns a store in Middletown. He owns a chicken shack, I call it, where he sells chicken sandwiches, etc. And he's tired of eating his own chicken, and he's closing up at night. It's 10 o'clock at night, and he goes down the row there to Porfirio's Pizza 2, which is in Levittown, Middletown Township, to get a cheesesteak. And he knows the guy, so he's talking with them while they're making his cheesesteak, and they're going to close for the night. And it's just him, the guy at the counter, and the guy in the back. And the guy at the counter and the guy in the back are related. I forget if they're cousins, but one of them owns the shop. And I see, well, as it's recounted to me, and I see this on video, I see this later on video, so I can describe this. Two guys come storming in masks and hoodies, brandishing guns. And you can't hear it because there's no audio, but you see them pointing at the chicken man and pointing at the guy at the counter. Their guns, one is trained on one and one's trained on the other. And all of a sudden it's chaotic. The chicken man doesn't know what to do, and the one guy brandishing the gun on him comes over to him and cracks him on the top of the head and knocks him literally down to one knee. So then the two guys both are focused on the guy at the register because they want the money. This is a robbery. Well, the chicken man gets off of one knee, goes to his waistband, pulls out his own gun, boom, boom. He shoots these two guys. This is all on video. The one guy goes crashing back through the door in a stumble, the way he came, crashes through the door with his head and is half in and half out, prone on the ground. The other guy is standing right at Chicken Man's feet, writhing on the ground in obvious pain. And Chicken Man, you can see him holding his gun over him, and you can see him telling the counter guy, call 911, which they do immediately. That's the tape. That's the case. And I've been the district attorney for a month and a half, maybe. And now I have to decide, and the news is going nuts. The one guy who fell out the door, he actually lived, but was paralyzed from the waist down. The other guy died. So the chicken man, in the eyes of criminal law, has actually committed a homicide. That's a homicide. Now, some homicides are justified. Some homicides are excused. You're allowed to kill somebody if you're defending yourself, you're defending others. But this is the decision that I now have to make to whoever is interested, and plenty of people are interested because the news media is ringing us off the hook. They're calling us like crazy. So I say, all right, let's set a press conference for 2 o'clock this day, and I'll make my decision, what I want to do with this incendiary case. And I'm thinking, well, who else can I talk to? Who's going to answer this? You know, I'm looking at nobody behind me. It's me. So I have to make the decision, and I'm asking people that I trust and know, can you give me some advice? And some of the advice ranged in this fashion. Some people said, you know what, just let the dust settle, and this will be yesterday's news, and then you can decide it without any pressure on you. Other people said, just charge everybody. Charge the guy that lived, charge the chicken man, charge everybody, and then let somebody else sort it out. Somebody else said, why don't you put it in the grand jury, so then it's not your decision. You can blame somebody else if you make a bad decision. And I'm thinking, you know, they all seem like a cop-out to me, all of those choices. I don't really like any of them, although they had some good arguments. So I gather as much information as I can, as quickly as I can, because if I work for Fred Harron, you got to be fast. So I start gathering some information about these two guys and about the situation and about the chicken man. And these are some of the facts that I learned. So interesting. Fact number one, the two guys are brothers. Minutes before this, their mother and one of the brothers' pregnant girlfriends come into the shop to case the joint, and were then waiting outside to make sure the cops didn't come. So they participated and helped set this robbery up. Fact number two, who here has ever seen, I just always think of this movie, what is it, A Christmas Story? You'll shoot your eye out, kid, right? Yeah. He's got a Red Ryder BB gun. Well, nowadays, they make a gun with something special in it so that you know it's a BB gun, a pellet gun. What is it? Who knows what's in the end of a pellet gun or a BB gun?
Little red thing.
Little red thing, right?
Right.
So you know it's fake.
Right.
Well, these two knuckleheads had BB guns.
Oh, wow.
Except they had pulled the red tips out because they wanted the guys to believe they were real. And let me tell you, it felt real to the chicken man. And we actually had, I got to see these guns, I say to my investigators, and they show me and they compare them to a real gun. You couldn't tell. There's no way you could tell in the light of day, let alone in the stress of the situation. But that's a factor to think about. Because as it turns out, neither of these two guys could have killed any of the people they were robbing. Here's another fact. The chicken man, as I showed you, went under his coat, into his waistband, and pulled out his weapon, which was concealed. And if you want to have a concealed weapon in Pennsylvania, the law is you've got to have a license to carry. Well, here's some good news. The chicken man had a license to carry. The bad news, it was expired. The good news, you got 6 months from the time your license is expired to renew it, because law-abiding citizens, except Philadelphia. Yeah, we don't talk about Philadelphia. Yeah, I don't understand. That's upside down world there. The chicken man was 8 and 9 months out.
Oh, man.
So if you're doing a law school exam, or if you're a nervous new guy on the job, worrying about taking care of everybody, on that law school exam, he would be guilty. The chicken man would be guilty of possessing a concealed weapon without a permit. And so I start doing a little diligence about the chicken man. And I come to learn, well, he's a store owner, so he's a business owner, great credit, right? He's a family man, honorably discharged from the military. He's never so much as had a traffic ticket in his life. So I decide that day, literally as I'm walking up to address the press, that I'm going to give him a pass. And this is what I think. You do get credit for leading an otherwise law-abiding life. The chicken man, his only intention was not to break the law, but was to save these two guys whose shop he was in. And people were always asking me, well, is he a hero? What do you think of what he did? And I say, I'm not going to judge whether he's a hero or not. We don't encourage vigilantism, but he only used the amount of force that he thought reasonably was necessary, because he reasonably thought that they were real guns. But he's a hero to those two pizza shop guys, and I'll bet he never bought another pizza in his life because of how he saved them. We did charge the one guy, the paralyzed guy with robbery, and we did charge the pregnant girlfriend and the mom with robbery. And they all went to jail. Now, I don't know this. When I'm telling you now, I don't know what the reaction is going to be when I decide this. Because I'm basically excusing a guy that broke the law with deadly consequences. But I decided that I'm going to live with it. That's the decision I'm going to make, and I'm going to live with it. After the fact, people were like, great job, way to go, that was the right decision. But you don't know that in the moment. That is the point. It takes courage to make a decision like that without knowing how it's going to be received. That is the point. Each and every person in this room can do the same thing, and I believe would have done the same thing.